And we are officially live. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is NBS Stardom Sidham Show, the fantasy football show that we give you guys every mornings. So we got some familiar faces and some new faces for tonight's show. I mean for this morning show. Sorry about that. And normally, True X, the sports junkie, normally hosts the show, but he has some family emergencies he has to take care of. So I'll be holding the fort down tonight. For this morning. And with me also co-hosting me for today's show, I got the newest MBS member, Mr. John Alcorn. Make sure you check out his show, Undeniable Truth, every single day. Yo, John, what's going on?
What's up, man? It's gonna be a good show. Like I said before, people aren't gonna like what I have to say, even if it's for fantasy football. But just hear us out and let us make our case. I think it'd be good and be something different.
So, s- s- so John, just to let you know how things work. So we normally break down each division first.
Hmm.
Each position first for every single week. No elite players we will be naming. So with that being said, who are your top five quarterbacks to start for today?
Number one, I'm gonna have to say Ryan Tannehill. Now I know he's top six in passing touchdowns this year. Cincinnati has a 26 ranked defense, and they have a couple of starting offense linemen out for the game, so that gives them the best position. We know then Derrick Henry gets the ball rolling. Ryan Tannehill gets it going. Ryan Tannehill is just getting it done. Number two, I would have to say is Big Ben. While you see Lamar Jackson being frustrated with the defense doing their job, obviously I'm not sure if Mark Ingram would be a factor, but I think Big Ben is proving me wrong that I didn't think he could stay healthy, and he's getting the job done. Number three, I'm gonna have to look at this list right here. Is just definitely is gonna have to be. I'm gonna have to say Rodgers, and I know we could talk about other things, blah blah blah. But Rodgers has an amazing track record versus Minnesota with Kent Cousins as the starter, and obviously what they've done so far. Yes, they got humiliated by Tampa Bay, but with Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, they can get it done. It's 1-4, 1-4-1 record, and obviously his worst year in his NFL career this year. Number four, I'm gonna have to say is going to be Philip Rivers. Now I know I'm very critical of him, but with how bad that defense is, he has no choice but to show up. All eyes are on him with that 25, $26 million contract, and he's going to have to prove it today. And that's why I think number four, last one, give me just a second. Gonna have to say is let me look at this. The Rams are playing Miami. I'm gonna have to say Jared Goff because Tua Tagovailoa, I believe this is his first game starting, correct? As the full time starter for the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
So Jared Goff is going to take advantage of that. With a rookie quarterback, is going to make a lot of mistakes. Yes, they're a young team. Yes, they have potential, but potential means you learn over time. I think Jared Goff is going to take advantage of that. We see him the last couple of games, the accuracy versus the Bears, despite what they have on defense. I think Jared Goff is going to take advantage of that young rookie quarterback.
All right. So okay, I like your list. Starting at number five for me for the top five quarterbacks to start, I am gonna go with I'm going with Baker Mayfield at number five today. Um, even though there's no Odell Beckham, he had Baker Mayfield actually had his best fantasy game, not just the season, probably for his career. He had actually 39 fantasy points. We know there's no OBJ. Austin Hooper's banged up. Um, um, Jarvis Landry was really limited to only 48 yards. Um, so he's not gonna have Beckham and Austin Hooper again, but I think Baker will make the best of it. And usually when Baker doesn't have these like high profile weapons, Baker actually does pretty well. So I'm gonna go with Baker at number 5 for me. Going at number 4, I'm sticking in the same game, and I'm rolling with Derek Carr, man. I think Derek Carr is a solid fantasy play right now. Um, 22 fantasy points in 4 of his past 5 games. his his worst outing of that stretch was 19 points when he played against New England. Um, if we know what Miles Garrett's been able to do. He's been phenomenal. But as far as the Browns pass defense, I would feel really confident if I'm Derek Carr right now. So I'm gonna roll with him at number 4. Number 3, man, I'm liking where you're going with this. I'm gonna go with Ryan Tannehill also against Cincinnati in this game. I think Tannehill should be huge. Uh, he has AJ Brown alongside with him, so I'm gonna go with number 3. Number 2, I'm sticking to the same game once again. I'm going with Joe Burrow, man. Joe Burrow had a huge game despite the loss, passed over 300. Um, Actually, as a matter of fact, he's passed over 300 in 4 of his last 5 games, including a 400-yard game against the Cleveland Browns. So, um, Tennessee's pass defense, not too confident with them too. So, I like the weapons what Joe Burrow has right now. Do I think they're not gonna win? No, I don't think they're gonna win. But I have him as a number 2 fantasy quarterback right now to start. At number 1, my guy. I actually just traded him away, but he's been huge. Potential rookie of the year. I'm going with Justin Herbert against the Denver Broncos. And I think he's going to be the top fantasy player for today as far as quarterbacks go. And that's my top 5 quarterbacks to start for today. All right,
Just
let's move. Go ahead.
one last thing, one add about Baker Mayfield. I do think he's a good talent, but with him averaging less than 192 passing yards per game and them having one of the best rushing attacks in the league, I think he's going to have to improve it in the passing game if he wants to be not on that Browns jersey list.
All right. All right. So let's go to the running backs. Who you got for the top 5 running backs to start?
I'll give you just a moment. We'll get that loaded up. Number 1, Derrick Henry. I mean, he's that guy. He's been that since Alabama. He's not a guy that's going to wow you with his speed, but it literally takes so many different defensive players to tackle him down. When he rushes for 100+ yards, they're 14-0, 16-0. I mean, it's just crazy what he can do. And like I just said, with a 26th ranked defense, and let me actually look at how struggling the Bengals is on the rushing attack, which can prove my point for Derrick Henry being the number 1 fantasy running back this year. I mean, think about it. 2 weeks ago, he had 40, 50+ points, 200+ yards. The Bengals defense, when it comes to the rushing attack, is very, let's look at it right here. They're one of the worst in the league. Their defense is ranked very low. They cannot stop pretty much anything. Obviously, I know you traded away one of your defensive players. Derrick Henry has to be my number 1 because he's really and very difficult to attack. Number 2, I'm going to have, let's kind of go down here on the list. I'm looking at week 8. I'm going to have to say, I would love to say Elliott. I mean, it's hard though because a lot of these guys are super injury prone. We got Broncos. We love Philip Lindsay. Devin Singletary is not really doing it. I'm going to have to say probably maybe Bell. Because I think with him getting adjusted to it, with who the Chiefs are playing today, they're playing the Jets. They're going to expose them on the running game, the pass tech, all forefronts. And I think Le'Veon Bell has the potential chance to go back to what he was in 2016 to 2017. Number 3, I'm going to have to say is Josh Jacobs. Obviously, he's not just the one-dimensional running back. Well, all he does is run the football down the field, run the football. He's a passing and running attack, and especially with Trent Brown being out, the starting tackle for the Las Vegas Raiders, and another receiving weapon out for the Las Vegas Raiders. That gives Josh Jacobs more ammunition to get more carries, more touches, and that's going to help them in this chance versus the Cleveland Browns. Like I said, the passing attack is a big question. If they can expose that with Josh Jacobs, with one of their starting receivers being out. Number 4, I'm going to have, I would love to see is Kamara. And I know, like, obviously the Saints are iffy, wishy-washy this year, but with Chicago, think about it, with Khalil Mack and all those guys, look at what the Rams did on the running attack. Big plays on second, third, and potentially fourth down. They ran it way past it. They had multiple rushing as big rushing plays. Because Chicago, with that quarterback, or whoever the quarterback is, the defense can't do their job because the quarterback can't get any yards to save their life. So I'm going to say that one. Number 5, I'm going to have to say is going to be Elliott, only because when you see a lot of these games, you see the Patriots, they're injury prone. The Bills, Singletary, not any good. They still have a rookie running back with the Indianapolis Colts, and I don't know who the starting running back is for the 49ers, but I'm going to have to say, actually, is going to have to be Kareem Hunt, because when you have both those running backs getting it done, dude, they're second best in the league in rushing. Why wouldn't I want to take that guy in the passing or running attack? That can give him some extra ammunition now that OBG is out for the year. Now, Jarvis Landry is very underrated, but that's another topic. I think what he can do, along with Jarvis Landry, like you said, Baker Mayfield, even when he doesn't have the top talent receiver position, he still gets it done, and that's going to be the case with Kareem Hunt, potentially revamping his career.
All right, man. I like that, man. I like that breakdown, man. Definitely something different. All right, so I'm gonna go with my top 5 running backs to start for this week. Coming at number 5 for me, I am gonna be rolling with J.K. Dobbins. Um, I'm not sure the status on Mark Ingram's injury. I
He's
think
out.
he may. Yeah, yeah.
He's out for
So,
the game.
so, so. All right. Thanks for that insight. So Mark Ingram's out for a week 8, so that leaves room for J.K. Dobbins and maybe Gus Edward. But I like Dobbins, man. I like the upside of Dobbins. Very tough matchup against a front 7 with Pittsburgh, but I think he could get some huge opportunities. So I got him at number 5. Number 4, first time ever he's actually in my top 5 for fantasy football to start. I'm gonna go with Le'Veon Bell, and I know that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there, but I think Le'Veon Bell, he'll get some production, he'll get some red zone opportunities, and I like Le'Veon Bell at number 4. Number 3, I'm going with Leonard Fournette, man. Leonard Fournette is has been is healthy now. He's gonna be able to play. I know Ronald Jones is there also, but I think he'll take some production, some high volume carries from Ronald Jones. So I got him at number 3. Number 2, number 2. This is a surprise name also with no Miles Sanders out again. Um, I'm going with Boston Scott. Boston Scott finished with 17 fantasy points, 12 carries, 46 yards, as well as 3 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, they're going against the Dallas Cowboys. We know about something I hate to say because I love my Dallas Cowboys, but it's not going to look good for the Dallas Cowboys. So
Mm-hmm.
I like Boston Scott at number 2, and at number 1. You mentioned this team earlier. You may like this or you may hate this. No, my number 1 running back to start, I am going with Melvin Gordon. This is gonna be a revenge game for him. He spent the first 5 seasons of his career with the Chargers. Um, Gordon has 4 games this season with at least 18 total touches, and he's scored a touchdown in all of them. So with 11 with at least 11 fantasy points per game. The Chargers also allow running backs to score at least 18 fantasy points per game in their last 4 games. So I'm going with Melvin Gordon as a top running back to start for today. Woo!
Gosh, Melvin Gordon. Well, first of all, I never liked it. I never liked him because when we talk about football, we like consistency. Obviously, he's done it up until this point, but this has just been a couple of games. He couldn't stay healthy. I don't like him, but I hope he succeeds. But number one, I mean, did you see what Ronald Jones is doing? As much as I love Leonard Fournette, his consistency was a problem all the way back to LSU when Marcus Mariota won the Heisman Trophy. It's just consistency has been his problem in his career. So that's why I'm concerned, especially with Tom Brady being second overall in passing TDs. We'll just have to find out.
All right. So let's move on to wide receivers now. Who are your top 5 fantasy wide receivers to start for today?
Number one, like I was just saying, AJ Brown. Again, we keep going back to this, Keo, but when they have one of the top 5, top 6 worst defenses when it comes to passing and the running attack, you're not going to say, oh, let's just see what happens. No, you're going to take advantage of that. You're going to pass the ball down their throats. AJ Brown, the first receiver since 2013 to have over 1,000 yards last year. And obviously, we know what he's doing this year. Running attack gets it going. The passing attack gets it going. Number 2, I'm going to have to say, oh, man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be Stephon Diggs because there's been some rumors of potentially guys being traded this next week or this offseason. And when you have the thing, when you're stuck in your head mentally, you're distracted. And of course, Buffalo has struggled the last couple of games, but I think with Josh Allen going to Diggs, and especially with some of the injuries or the drama that's played by the media, either by the New England or the media, I think Stephon Diggs is my number 2. Number 3, though, I'm going to have to say, man, this is tough because I'm going to have to go with Mike Evans. And I know we had with Chris Godwin did, but he can't stay healthy. His potential, he's like a Calvin Ridley. He's very, very good, but can't stay healthy to see his truly his full 100% potential. Number 4 is DK Metcalf. Obviously, we know what the 49ers are about, but with their injuries on the passing attack side of the ball, with his physical ability, how tall he is. Did you see that speed last week or 2 ago when Budda Baker had that interception? Or Budda Baker, as I say, his speed at that height, he's going to take advantage of the injuries in the older defensive players in Richard Sherman. But also be careful. Don't make sure you don't get too around in Jason Verrett because he's been a potential comeback player of the year. My last one, I'm going to have to say, receiver is going to be Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs, I'm going to have to say, just because, again, a lot of these other games, I know what Dante Johnson's about. I know what Chase Claypool's about and Juju Smith. But like you just said, with the Browns passing attack, their corners cannot stay healthy. The potential is there, but just because you have potential does not mean you're going to execute it on the field. How their passing attack is inconsistent. With Henry Ruggs' speed, do you see what he did about a week or 2 ago with 4 to 5 receptions and 2 TDs? That's my number 5.
All right, man. All right, let's move on. Oh yeah, I gotta give you my top 5. Hold on. All right, so starting at number 5 for me, 5 for me, I'm gonna go with Mike Evans at number 5. I think Mike Evans hasn't been, the Mike Evans we thought they would be. Godwin's banged up. He's dealing with numerous injuries. Not consistent when it comes to it. But with Mike, I mean, when Godwin, when he's on the field, he's able to get it done. Mike Evans only 25 receptions for 318 yards. He is averaging 13 fantasy points a game. I think with Antonio Brown on there will be a help. Hopefully he stays out of trouble off the field. So number 4, I'm going with AJ Green, man. I like AJ Green. AJ Green had a decent game last week. I think he's a legit option, maybe at the flex position. Throughout the first 5 games this year, Green has combined for 24 fantasy points, which is not good. Not the AJ Green we're used to seeing, but I like AJ Green today. Number 3, man. I'm going with Brandon Ayuk at number 3. Brandon Ayuk has been a rookie that's been showing up since he came from his injury. We know Debo Samuel is out for today, so which will equal up huge opportunities for Brandon Ayuk. So I expect Jimmy G to look for him. Number 2, not a popular, not a popular pick also, but I'm going with Travis Fulgham at number 2. Obviously, it's the Dallas Cowboys defense that I'm talking about, and I like Philadelphia's options for today. So I'm going with Travis Fulgham at number 2. And at number 1, you mentioned about Kirk Cousins. But I like Justin Jefferson, the rookie. Uh, they are coming off a bye week. He's had at least 100 receiving yards, 3 of his past 4 games, 3 touchdowns over that span. I don't expect them to win, but I expect Justin Jefferson to have a huge day. Maybe at least 15 to 17 fantasy points for today. So I'm rolling with Justin Jefferson at number 1, and that's my top 5 wide receivers to start. All right, let's move over to tight ends.
I think we actually got a question here on the YouTube video.
We let's finish up our top 5 positions, and we'll get to our questions right after that.
Breaking news: Gardner Minshew is going to be out, and Mike Glennon will be the starter today. It just was announced here on NFL.
Okay. Let's go to tight ends. Top 5 tight ends to start for today. Who you got?
Tight ends, man. Let's kind of go through this real quick. I'm gonna have to say number 1 is Travis Kelce. It's the Jets. You could have baggers from Walmart on my high school football team back in the day that was much more talented than this defense here. Number 2, I'm gonna have to say it's gonna go down this list. I don't know the status of for the Zach Ertz. Is he starting or is he on IR right now?
He's still on IR right now.
So number 2, man, this is tough, but I'm gonna have to say Giannu Smith. And he obviously there was questions of him potentially replacing Delaney Walker, even though Delaney Walker wasn't drafted by Tennessee, but he's proven that he can make some very good contested catches. With the Bengals having a top 5, top 6 worst passing attack, like I've been saying again and again, they're going to take advantage of that. Number 3, number 4, I'm going to have to say is the who's the starting tight end for the Steelers right now?
It should be Eric Ebron.
Let me go. All right, so I'm actually going to go to the Rams. I think it's Higbee, or I can't remember who their starting tight end is, which one. But for them, because Miami's a young team, like I just said, Tua Tagovailoa is going to make a lot of mistakes. You may not see the full connection on the field between him and his tight ends until he gets it going and keeps it going. Last one I'm going to have to say is I believe it's, who's that tight end for the Saints? I know it's not Jared Cook. It's, what's his name? Can't remember. But the Saints tight end, because Chicago, yes, they have the defense, but again, the offensive production doesn't match the defensive production, so you're not going to see defense make those kind of stops like you would like to see based on the roster, because the offensive production is way down here.
All right. Really quick, I'm not going to spend that much time on it. Number 5, Hooper banged up. I'm going with Harrison Bryant from the Cleveland Browns at number 5. Number 4, I'm actually rolling with Trey Burton to against Detroit for the Indianapolis Colts. Going to my 3. I really like this guy. A lot of people gave up to him, but it looks like Brady has been going to him in the past 2 games. I'm talking about Rob Gronkowski. His value has definitely jumped up, so I'm going to him at number 3. Number 2, I'm going with Hunter Henry at number 2. Hunter Henry against the Denver Broncos. I like the weapons there. Herbert will definitely be looking for him. Number one, I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith. You got A.J. Brown. If they try to double up on him, expect Jonnu Smith to get some opportunities to catch the ball and get some good fantasy points. And those are my top 5 tight ends. All right. Let's go to our defense, man. Defense is the start.
Let's look. I'm gonna have to say number one is gonna have to be. Let's look at it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say it's the Steelers. I know they lost Devin Bush for the year, but they've been very well on other sides of the ball. If Lamar Jackson has to improve as a passer, I know J.K. Dobbins is starting, but all that together, it's not gonna just instantly happen. I'm gonna have to say Steelers number 5. Number 4, I'm gonna have to say is the Rams, because again, it's a young rookie quarterback, the young offensive line. They still have not started a true game together, so we don't know how the first game altogether on the field is going to happen, because the quarterback on the field chemistry with their players is exceptionally key. Number 3, I'm gonna have to have is the Bucks. I know that they don't play tomorrow, but it's the Giants. They have a terrible offensive line. Daniel Jones, who tripped on his own left pinky, whatever. But do you see how that defense has played? How they played against the Packers? And some people picked the Packers to win, which was insane. They're going to expose that terrible offensive line. There's all these injuries and all these baloney with the Giants. I'm going to have to say Tampa Bay. And I might actually rank them higher depending on what happens tomorrow. Last one I'm going to have to say is going to be the Raiders, just because. And I know we talk about the Colts and their defense, but with the Raiders, Baker Mayfield, so far, yes, he had an amazing game, but he has not shown, like, can he do it consistently is my question. I hope he does. I hope he succeeds. But with those pieces they have on defense, I think they can get it done. But actually, I'm going to have to say number 1 would be Tampa.
All right. I like what you said there, man. I noticed a lot of football fans, I mean the idiot ones, like to give Daniel Jones the nickname Danny Dimes. I don't call him Danny Dimes because I feel like he hasn't done anything to be deserved to call that nickname. So I like that, man. Respect. All right. So starting my defense, top 5. I'm gonna go really quick through this because we got a couple of topics left on the show. Coming at number 5, I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Coming them at number 5. Number 4, I'm rolling with the Green Bay Packers against Minnesota. Kirk Cousins has thrown an interception in all but one game this season. He took a safety against the Packers in week 1, sacked at least 3 times, 3 out of his 6 games. So that's number 4. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the LA Chargers at number 3. Bosa looks really good. I like the front 7. So Chargers at number 3. Number 2, they continue to be on there, which makes me sick. And I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. 2 games without Dak. Cowboys only scored 13 points against Arizona and Washington. Can you believe that? Giving up 9 sacks, 5 turnovers. Andy Dalton likely out. The Eagles should.
Ben DiNucci, I think, is the starter. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, look what has America's team has come to. You got Ben DiNucci in his first NFL start. We'll see what happens. Number 1, this is surprising, but I am rolling with the New Orleans Saints, the number 1 defense to start, man. Bears will be without their center, Cody Whitehair this week, which would impact a struggle on their offense. I don't know why I'm saying struggling, because they've been struggling since Nick Foles has been the starting quarterback. The Bears have scored at least 20 or less 20 points or less in 3 of their past 4 games. Interceptions in 6 games in a row. 9 interceptions over the span. Nick Foles sacked 4 times last week against the Rams. This should be a good game for the New Orleans Saints. with that being said, let's go to our very last one and wrap it up. You don't have to spend too much time on it, but let's kickers to start.
Justin Tucker. He's my favorite kicker of all time. That's probably a little bit biased because game-winning kick at A&M. Just been one of the most accurate kickers. Number 2, I'm gonna have to say, and this is hard because a lot of kickers kind of they suck, but I'm gonna have to say number 2 is Matt Prater. Number 3, I'm still getting familiar with a lot of kickers because they change around. Who was the kicker for the Rams? Can't remember.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be him at number 3. Number 4 is the Bills kicker. I think it's Hauska, I believe, is still the starter there. Unless I completely forgot because the Patriots, you don't know what's happening with Cam Newton.
It's Tyler Bass.
Tyler Bass. Okay, so I just think with what is happening in New England or the drama, it's just Cam Newton not getting it done. Jared Stidham, we don't know what he's about. They're going to take advantage of that and get down the field and score a lot of those extra points.
All right. So top 5 kickers really quick. I'm gonna go with Chris Boswell at number 5. Number 4, Steven Gostowski at 4. 3, I'm going with Jason Sanders. 2, I like where you're going with this with Tyler Bass. And number 1, I'm just gonna roll with I'm rolling with Justin Tucker also, man. I like that move. All right, man. So let's go to our next portion of the show. Should we start them? Should we sit them? I'm gonna name 5 players, and you're gonna tell me if the people should start or sit them. Then you'll return the favor while you name 5 players, and I'll tell you if we should start or sit them. All right. So John, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So should you start or sit? Let's go with Amari Cooper.
Yes. The worst offensive line in the league, and Ben Bennett should be in the starter.
So you saying start Amari Cooper?
No, sit him.
Okay, all right. Let's go to the next one. Let me find a really good one. Okay, should we start or sit Cam Newton?
You should sit him because
Wow.
again he's struggled, and if potentially Jared Stidham is starting, then why would we start Cam Newton? I mean, there's a lot of struggles there, and mentally a lot of things get into your head. So I would say sit him.
All right. So I tuned into your show at every opportunity I get the chance to, and I seen this segment that you had on Kirk Cousins, and
Can't
I know
Cousins,
you're
but
too Can't Cousins. I like that nickname. So, should we start or sit Kirk Can't Cousins?
Big fat sit him. He's 11 TDs, 10 picks on the year, 1-for-1 against the Packers. Isn't consistent as a quarterback.
Okay, all right. Next one. Should we start or sit Ronald Jones?
See who you start him. It's the Giants. They haven't done anything. It's a disaster. The Giants are as bad as a toddler trying to go down for nap time. They're not going to get anything done. It's not going to happen. I would say start him.
All right. And my very last one for you. With no Odell Beckham, this guy gets the start. And I'm talking about Rashard Higgins from the Cleveland Browns, wide receiver. Should we start or sit Rashard Higgins?
I would say start him because he'll get a couple of catches here and there, but Jarvis Landry is still going to be the number 1 receiver. He's still been consistently, when you look at the numbers from 2018 and 2019, he's been the number 1 receiver. But with a couple of catches here and there, you can see the chemistry on the field with him and Baker Mayfield.
All right. Now it's your turn, man. Go for it.
At number 5, would you start or sit Dalvin Cook?
I'm gonna start Dalvin Cook, man. I think Dalvin Cook, he's a must start. no matter who it is, and I'm definitely gonna start him.
Hey, number 4. Would you start or sit Dante Johnson?
Um, I'm gonna actually sit. I think he had a huge game, but I think he's one of those fantasy players that he'll have a huge week and he'll drop down to reality the following week. So I'm gonna sit him.
This one people aren't probably gonna have, but would you start or sit Ezekiel Elliott?
Wow.
Because he's been kind of inconsistent, but offensive line's a question.
I'm actually gonna start him, man. I'm gonna start Zeke. I know people would come in the question and be like, "Oh, you crazy? You benching Zeke?" But I think they're gonna try to run this offense through Zeke, especially with a new inexperienced quarterback. So I'm gonna start Zeke.
Next one, would you start or sit Devontae Parker?
Devontae Parker. I'm gonna start Devontae Parker. If you can move him to a flex position at best, I would definitely start Devontae Parker, and I think Tua would be is gonna be looking for a man very reliable. So I'm gonna start him.
I believe this is my last one. So last one, would you start or sit Justin Jefferson?
Well, man, I had him as a top fantasy play. I had them as a top wide receiver to start for this week. So hell yeah, I'm gonna start him, man. Start Justin Jefferson. All right. Before we go to our very last segment, do we have any questions right now? I know that you mentioned that there was a question on social media right now.
It's saying those two. Who's got the better chance to start the Super Bowl from their respective conference? Tennessee or the Green Bay Packers?
Um, I would go with Green Bay, man. I think the NFC is pretty much wide open right now. There's certain teams that you could narrow it down to, but I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I know you're not too high on Green Bay according to your show, but
No.
it's Kansas City in the AFC, man. I don't think Tennessee is on Kansas City's level, so I'm gonna say Green Bay.
I'm gonna have to say Green Bay, and I know I just said I've been critical, but again, it's the Minnesota Vikings. It is the Detroit Lions. I'm gonna have to say it's Green Bay because Tennessee, yes, they still have the AFC South, which is kind of a joke this year. But again, you're in the same AFC division as the Chiefs, as the Raiders, the Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers. There's just a lot of obstacles there.
All right. What's the next question?
There was, let me read it. It seems a question. Melvin Gordon, top 5, yes, but not number 1. And it's just a bunch of. It was just a comment, so that was just the only question.
Okay. Oh, okay. I actually do have one question from social media, and it's I guess they want to leave their name anonymous, so I'll show them that respect to leave it anonymous. So they said, "What's who should I start at my wide receiver 2 position? Should I go with Juju Smith Schuster or should I go with Brandon Ayuk?"
Why don't you answer that first? Why? Look at the matchups. Because I want to give a full good answer.
I'm gonna go with Brandon Ayuk, man. And I actually have Juju Smith on my team on one of my fantasy leagues right now. So if I could find a viable threat than Juju Smith Schuster, I would start somebody like Brandon Ayuk, man, because tough defense that they're going against. I think the game is in Baltimore, so I'm gonna go. I would go with Brandon Ayuk. Seattle's defense, they look really bad. It's just the offense looks so good that we don't talk about that. So I'm gonna go with Brandon Ayuk to start.
Say the same thing because again, they are playing the Ravens, who have literally every defensive player you would want on your team for the most part. They're stacked on defense, and it's going to be Brandon Ayuk because again, Trey Flowers, he's not consistent, and he continues to give a big place on the defensive side of the ball. Jamal Adams, I believe, is still out this week, so that was going to be one of their main factors. Shaquille Griffin, I'm sorry, he's garbage. Just to be honest, I think it's going to be Brandon Ayuk because yes, Seattle again, like you just said, you talk about the offense, but ignore how inconsistent that defense is.
All right. Let's go to our next segment before we go to our studs and duds of the week. All right. Our next one. What is your top waiver wire pickup of the week?
Now I'm gonna have to look this up real quick, but I'm gonna think. Let's see. Top waiver wire player. I'm gonna have to say, and people are gonna hate me because it's on here. I'm gonna have to say, it's Jimmy. Careful, Jimmy Garoppolo, because again, that their defense as a whole is still a question, and because they still don't have Jamal Adams in their starter lineup this week.
All right. All right. Okay, my turn. I think my top waiver wire pick of the week. I play in a lot of the leagues. I even play in the 16-team leagues, 12-team leagues, and my top waiver wire pickup for today, I'm gonna go with Rashard Higgins as my top waiver wire pick of the week. No Odell Beckham, no Hooper. Top waiver wire pick of the week for me. All right, let's go to our very last segment. My favorite part of the show. I know True loves it, so I'll mention his his dud of the week, his stud of the week. So first, we're gonna kick things off with the sleeper of the week. True sleeper of the week is Le'Veon Bell. Sleeper of the week. All right, now I'm gonna go to my sleeper of the week. My sleeper of the week, the guy that I just mentioned, man. I'm going with Rashard Higgins as my sleeper of the week today. I think Rashard Higgins will have a touchdown and at least 12 to 15 fantasy points. Sleeper of the week. Who you got?
I mean, I'm gonna have to say the same thing. Do we need to go back to watch film of 2018 when it was just Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, and all those Callaway? He got a couple of catches. They got it done last year in terms of the numbers. Him and Jarvis Landry, yeah, I could easily see him being the sleeper this week.
All right. Let's go to our dud of the week. Who you got? Well, first, I'm going to go with True's dud of the week. His dud of the week is going to be Tua Tagovailoa as his dud of the week. You got a dud of the week?
I'm not sure. Is Cam Newton starting today or no? Or is it Jared Stidham?
It should be Cam Newton today.
Well, then I'm going to say Cam Newton just because
Wow.
he's been. I mean, obviously, I don't wish COVID on nobody, but when he had that and obviously was fully healthy and able to come back, just getting used to that, and he's just not getting done. Obviously, Julian Edelman is injured. N'Keal Harry's not getting it done. And the running backs that are used to seeing it in big moments just aren't doing what we're used to seeing them doing. So if those are his weapons, if they're not getting it done, what is Camden going to do? You can't run the football the whole game. That's not how it works. You'll get injured.
All right. I know he's in your top 5 for quarterbacks to start, but my dud of the week for today, I'm going with Ben Roethlisberger as my dud of the week. Going against a tough, stingy, aggressive defense. People are not really talking about Baltimore as a top team now, man. They've been raving about Pittsburgh as of late. Obviously, the reason why because they're undefeated, but I think they're gonna make some noise and they're gonna give Big Ben a hard time. So I got him as my dud of the week. All right, let's go to our stud of the week. True stud of the week. Wow, I can't even believe this. He has Mike Evans as his stud of the week. All right. Your stud of the week. The best
So,
fantasy player in for today. Who you got?
and then now, and if I'm wrong on this, then I'm wrong, but I'm gonna have to say Ronald Jones because when we say a defense is bad, I mean there's bad, and then there's the New York Giants defense with Julius Peppers, who just hasn't showed up in league, didn't do a lot with the Browns. Obviously, that trade in 2018, 2019. I'm going to have to say Ronald Jones, who are going to expose that defense for what they aren't.
Okay, man. All right. So my stud of the week for today, man. I'm going with Carson Wentz as my stud of the week. I hate the Eagles. I can't stand them. But the Dallas Cowboys, their defense is just horrendous right now. And I'm sorry, man. That is my stud of the week.
You're not wrong
So,
to make that with all the drama with the Cowboys and how he almost came back to win against Baltimore.
yeah, that's true. All right, man. So that actually wraps up today's show. Hopefully we help you guys in your fantasy football be able to set your lineups. Make sure you go check out the players that are already confirmed out for today. But with that being said, man, let's go give our shout out. Shout out to True. He's always holding it down. He's been holding it down by himself for the last 3-4 weeks. I had to come down and hold it down for him. He had some personal issues to take care of. Shout out to True. Hopefully everything's taken care of. He'll definitely be back on next week. Shout out to John, man. Last minute, he came on and he got it in with us, man. So shout out to John. Make sure you tune into the show, the undeniable truth. Make sure you tune into MBS. Let's talk about it this week. The MBS show this week, Larson Live. Oh, the relaunch and debut of my boys GBD's the bragging rights. That's actually tomorrow. Actually, a lot to talk about in college football. And last but not least, shout out to everybody that tunes in and supports the show. And very important, man, there's only 2 days left. I know this is a sports show, but make sure you go out there and vote. Very important. You can make a huge difference. But with that being said, I'm going to let John give his shout outs, and we're going to wrap up the show tonight.
In about 30 minutes, we're going to do on my show, The Undeniable Truth. We try to do it every single Sunday where we live react to a couple of games in 1 to 2 quarters. Obviously not showing the actual game because this could go on YouTube and just to talk football, work on my football announcing skills so y'all can come in, tune into that, and just have fun and talk football.
All right, man. With that being said, this is MBS. Let's talk about it. If we're able to help you out, like Drake said, man, thank us later. With that being said, this is MBS, the Stardom Sidham show, and soon, John Alcorn show will be on air. So make sure you stay tuned. With that being said, we are